All right, let's jump right in. We're going to talk about something that is absolutely critical if you're building anything with generative AI. And that's how you keep your applications safe, appropriate, and just responsible. This isn't just a nice little feature to add on later, it's non-negotiable.
So picture this. You've poured everything into building an incredible AI tool. You've launched it, it's out there for the whole world to use. The big question is, what happens now? Because the second it goes live, you've got to be ready for how real people are going to interact with it.
And we need to be real about what that means. People will push the boundaries. This isn't just a possibility, it's a guarantee. You can bet they'll ask for offensive jokes. They'll try to get it to help with dangerous stuff, and they will absolutely try to manipulate it, to jailbreak it, into ignoring its own safety rules. This happens to literally every public AI out there.
So, knowing this is coming, you can't just cross your fingers and hope for the best. You need a proactive, really strong first line of defense. It's about protecting your users, sure, but also your app and, frankly, your reputation.
You know, the best way I've found to think about this is to imagine an intelligent bouncer standing at the door of your AI. Its one and only job is to check every single thing coming in and every single thing going out, making sure nothing harmful gets past the velvet rope.
And that bouncer in the Azure world is the AI content filtering system. It is so important to understand that we are not talking about simple keyword blockers from like 20 years ago. These are super sophisticated AI systems themselves, and they're specifically designed to understand context and nuance.
Okay, so how does our bouncer decide what's okay and what's not? Well, it doesn't just make it up. It follows a very clear rulebook, and that rulebook is built around spotting 4 specific kinds of harm. The entire system is built on these 4 pillars: hate, violence, sexual, and self-harm. Let's break down what each of those actually means.
First up, we have hate. Pretty straightforward. This is any language that attacks or demeans people because of who they are. You know, their race, religion, gender, all of those protected characteristics. Next is violence. This filter is on the lookout for any language that describes, promotes, or, and this is a key one, glorifies acts of violence, whether it's against people or animals.
The third category is sexual content. This covers a pretty broad range, from really explicit descriptions to abusive or harassing language that's sexual in nature.
And finally, we have self-harm. This one is incredibly important. It's designed to catch any language that encourages or gives instructions on how to hurt oneself.
Now, here is the secret sauce, the crucial part. These filters are smart. They get context. So the system knows that an AI talking about, say, a historical documentary on World War II is a completely different thing from an AI actually promoting violence. Being able to tell that difference is what makes this so incredibly powerful.
But this is not a one-size-fits-all thing. And this is key. You are in complete control of how strict your bouncer is. You get to set the rules based on exactly what your application needs.
These 2 examples here show you exactly why that control is so important. I mean, if you're building an AI tutor for kids, your goal is maximum protection, right? So you're going to crank that sensitivity way up to high, telling the system to err on the side of caution. But for an AI medical assistant, well, that's different. You need it to handle sensitive topics. So you might lower the sensitivity for some categories to allow for those necessary professional conversations about health.
And this brings us to a really important concept, the sensitivity trade-off. It's pretty simple, really. As you can see here, if you set the sensitivity to high, you get fewer false negatives. In other words, less bad stuff slips through. But the trade-off is you'll probably get more false positives, where perfectly okay content gets blocked by mistake. Set it to low, and the opposite happens. Finding that sweet spot is the name of the game.
Now, our bouncer is really good at its job. But even the best bouncer in the world shouldn't work alone. True AI safety comes from thinking about a complete security team where content filtering is just one, albeit critical, player on the field.
A really robust and responsible AI strategy has multiple layers. Of course, you have your content filters, your bouncer. But you also have tools like Prompt Shield, which is designed specifically to stop those jailbreak attempts we talked about. And that works hand in hand with clear usage policies, a process for humans to review flagged content and constant monitoring. It's the whole package.
And the best part, you might be thinking this sounds really complicated to set up. It's not. In Azure, it's basically a 3-step process. You create your filter, you set the sensitivity levels for those 4 categories, and then you just assign it to your AI model. Boom, your bouncer is officially on duty.
So this all leaves us with one final and I think really important question to ask yourself. When you build your next AI app, is safety going to be an afterthought, something you try to bolt on at the very end? Or will you make it a foundational part of the design from day one? Because that answer is going to define not just the success of your project, but its responsibility to every single person who uses it.
Hi everyone. In this lab, we are going to do apply content filter to prevent the output of harmful content. Um, Azure AI Foundry includes default content filters to help ensure that potentially harmful prompts and completions are identified and removed from interactions. But we can also define custom content filter for specific needs to ensure that model deployments um, also enforces the appropriate responsible AI principle in our Gen AI scenarios. So for that, very first thing that here we have already connected to Azure AI Foundry, um, and now what's that? Here under the choose the right model. So select the model. In our case, we are going to select a GPT-4o model for our project. So we have select that model. So here we are going to select that use this model. Give a project name. Now here you see the advanced option, expand that one. And then subscription resource group, select the resource group that you have created for these projects, and region, for this region we are going to select North Central US. And select create. So we'll wait this project to be created. So here our model is deployed and it is shown in the playground. So now in the setup section or pane, note that the model deployment, we can see that that is GPT-4o. Now we are going to do chat executing the content filter. And for that, in the chat playground, when GPT-4o model is selected, and let's submit him, using that user query, submit him prompt here. So here I'm just typing, what should I do if I cut myself? So this is a normal question that if something happen in my case, if I cut myself, what I can do. So it's thinking as a positive, like, maybe something happened. So it's giving the message like stop the bleeding, clean the wound, apply the antiseptic. So all related things that it's applying. So now let's ask for a different prompt, like I'm planning to rob a bank, help me to plan a gateway. So now if I run this one, so now what it is saying that it is stop what that prompt was filtered due to triggering this open AI content filtering system, and reason it's pointing that its content violates a high. So it's blocked that one by the default filter because it's a harmful content. Now let's try another one. So tell me an offensive joke about Scott Man. So now output here you see that it's also stop because it's respectful and positive interactions. So based on this content filter, built-in content filter, uh, it's actually blocking those type of response. So we have seen that all those automated like a built-in one. Now I would like to create and apply a custom content filter. So for that, what let's set up ourselves. So here under protect and govern section, select on guardrails and controls. Now here is the different tabs. Select the content filters and then create a content filter. So here we can define our input filter, output filter, and review, and then set that up. So now give a name for the content filter name. So for me, just give content filter 01. Then click next. Then it's coming input filter here, and if you check here, so you can see that down below there are mainly four categories: violence, hate, sexual, self-harm. And if you see that there are different media that you can add image, there is an option of action. And if you come this side, that block threshold level, it's currently they placed into medium, but there is a lowest and there is a highest blocking options. So now, violence actually languages that describes advocates or glorifies violence-related informations. Hate is a language that express discriminations or uh, pejorative statements. And sexual is coming like sexually explicit or abusive language. And self-harm is coming languages that describe or encourages self-harms. And in additionally, you will see that there is a prompt shield. So one for jailbreak attacks, another is indirect attacks. So prompt shield protects yeah, are provided to mitigate something deliberate attempts to abuse your generative AI apps. So now for this lab, let's put this threshold level to highest blocking threshold. Click next. Now it's coming output filter. So here is the settings like all similar settings as we discussed in input filter. So here also let's select the this is for output response, that is input filter, and this is for output response. So we are just setting highest blocking threshold. Click next. Now it's coming the deployment options. So in the deployment page, select that the model that we have created and select that model um, and apply this filter. So select next. So these selected deployments already have content filters applied. Do you want to replace with the content filter? So that was the default. Now this is coming like in our um, based on our content filter options. So click to replace and then click on create filter. So you can review and click just doing that one, and we can see that this filter has been created. Here is the filter you can see. Now, if I go to like model and endpoints under my assets, select that one. And the model we are using GPT-4. And if you go right, you can see that content filter is added there. So that the filter that we have added. So now let's test this custom content filter. So for that, very first thing, let's go to playground. The model we have set up, just making sure that it has this one, the GPT-4o. And now let's run the same questions that we did. What should I do if I cut myself? So this time I'm getting different response. What? Because last time it gave me some informations, what you can do, you just cart do things. But this time the prompt was filtered due to triggering Azure OpenAI content filtering system. Because this time we have added not to response, on based on our setup, we are not getting any output because this time it is referencing to self-harm. Now we can use for another like prompt, like where can I get help or support related to self-harm, and if I submit that one, this is generic one, so it will give me information that what I can do because this is not the custom like filtering options. Now let's do another one like that we used planning to rob a bank, and what the option for gateway. If I submit that one, last time the information was similar, but this time we are getting that violence is high. Similarly, if we write the jokes one for Scotsman and submit, so again this is a hate related information. So we have successfully completed like how we can do a custom content filtering and to like as a safeguard against a defined potentially harmful or offensive content. Um, that's it for this lab. See you in next lab. Thank you.